spearheaded the effort for the marquee restoration.
So we bought the building, remodeled it. Looks nothing like it used to.
The ugliest Christmas sweater I've ever seen.
Me too. Goodbye.
Welcome. We're in downtown Osage. And what are we on now? 18, Christina? 18 podcasts right now. And I have Natashia with Aletheia. When we did the town to town back in February, I knew obviously, somewhat who you were and all that, but I always had a hard time pronouncing the damn Aletheia thing. Like, why can't you just make things a little bit easier for us?
You're not the only one, but
okay.
I think that having to ask how it's pronounced and what it is makes people remember it, though.
You know what you need, though? I mean, you have a beautiful shop, but you know what I'm going to say right now. You probably read my mind.
No.
You need a sign outside. Because the first time I came here, remember this, Christina? I'm like, where is this place? I'm looking behind and front. Like, I can't find it. And you're like, oh, I'm right here. I'm like,
I do actually have one. It's in the back. I have to paint the board. My dad works for a sign company.
Okay.
He got the letters done, but I have to paint the back part of it.
So it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah. It's crawling up the priority list because I know it needs to get done.
Very, very slowly. So again, this is Mavericks Podcast. Thanks for joining us. 18th right now we're at, and we're going to talk pretty much anything and everything for the next hour. First thing, we're going to talk about a little bit about Osage, the background of Natashia, how she got into the business, a little bit about her shop, and then some secrets about her that are going to be, I think, really, really interesting. And this is something that I've wanted to do pretty much since we've been doing podcasts. I said, I've wanted to have Natashia on for a while. I kind of talked you into doing it, and here we are. So you call yourself, I call you a medium, but you're an angel reader, right?
Yes, but I am kind of, I guess, stepping away from even that terminology.
What would you classify yourself in? Just a brief description, because we're going to talk about this in about a half an hour.
I read energy, so
okay.
I don't know if energy reader kind of sounds silly, but I think probably medium is probably closer because kind of like, well, and kind of like with art too, the medium you use, I'm kind of the medium of the information.
Okay.
So.
And that's something you were born with, right?
Yes.
So this is like, it's completely normal for you. I can't say, oh, what was it like before? Because you can remember as long as you have lived, this has been something that you've had.
I think when I was a kid, though, it felt natural. So I didn't view it as something that was different. But when I was a teenager, I wanted nothing to do with that. So there was a period of my life where I was more concerned with teenage things. But
so you just kind of ignored that part of everything.
Yeah, I did ignore it for a long time. And then early 20s is when it kind of came back in. And I think after the birth of my first daughter, because I think having to worry about a whole other person just changed my perception on a lot of things.
Yeah.
I don't know if that made me more aware of the strange things going on again, but I did reconnect on a much deeper level after she was born.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then paranormal, what do we have over here, by the way, too? I want you to show everyone.
It's a Mel meter. So it reads electromagnetic frequencies. They actually use it for like standard things. Like if you have a lot of electromagnetic frequencies coming from like appliances.
Yeah.
There is some information about that not being good for you. But as far as the paranormal aspects of it, like we have actually I just went up to 0.2 for a second here.
See?
So the really high spikes kind of indicate that there might be, additional energy around you.
So before we start anything talking about Osage and all that, I want not just people that are watching, but I want others to be able to watch and be with us as well. So is that possible for you to be able to take some of the energies that are around us or that are associated with you, myself, and Christina and bring them in for the podcast?
I can certainly try.
So how do you do that?
I think it's mostly the intent, holding a pretty clear intent on it. But, sometimes they come in and they have things to say, but sometimes they just don't. Sometimes it's, I try to not have any expectation on anything. I just say, like in my mind.
Like, hey, we're ready for you.
Yes, we're open to the energy coming in and see what happens. But I never know until it's almost like I can feel somebody come into the room. Like I can feel them come up next to me, and then I know. And that's kind of when I try to start switching my mind into where I connect with that. It's kind of hard to explain, but.
Okay, we're going to talk about that in a bit. I want to find out a little bit about you beyond some of these, and I call them powers, but you can call them abilities. Born and raised in Osage,
Yes.
right? Have you lived anywhere else?
I did move. I was about 9 years old. My sister was just born. We moved to Waterloo for a while. I've been in Dubuque, back to Waterloo. I've been living here a couple times on and off.
Yeah.
I was up in Minnesota for a while. Bloomington and Cottage Grove would have been where I thought I was going to graduate, but I ended up coming back here my senior year. And
so you didn't spend your whole time in Osage?
Not my whole life,
Okay.
on and off. My grandmother lives here, so I stayed almost every summer here in Osage. So it's always been home, but I have lived other places too.
And your grandma has some abilities, right? Is that the grandma that you were telling us about, or is that great grandma?
Well, my great grandmother on my mom's side, there's some stories with her.
Can you tell us any of those stories?
Actually, there's a few connections there. I actually don't remember how many greats he would have been, if it was her grandpa or her great grandpa, but there's stories of him having telekinesis. And my grandma would tell me about when she was little, to scare her, he would sweep the floor with the broom, but he wasn't touching it. So there's a lot of that on my mom's side. Also, my grandpa, her husband, full bohemian. So that grandma, there's some stories of her with like tarot cards. And so there's connections kind of all over. But on my dad's side, I feel like my grandma is just naturally intuitive, but not to that extreme, I guess. But I was very surprised. There was a lot of family on that side that sort of came out to me after I made it public that I have experiences like this too. So that surprised me.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's get back to the connection between, all right, senior year, graduating to moving into the shop. Why did you decide to become an entrepreneur? And, the whole idea kind of who you are, right? I mean, this I think represents really well your shop of who you are.
Yes.
Right? How did you come up with the idea? Well, it's who you are, but why did you decide to do it here in Osage?
I started in the spa industry. So I was first an esthetician, and then I got my license in massage therapy. And that's really where I think things started to shift, because in massage, I was starting to feel like I was picking up things, like just emotional things about people. When they would relax, I would feel an emotional shift going on. So there was all this information coming through. And I just kept feeling pushed to do something more with it. And I kind of, my mentor, actually, her name is Maria Paith. She's in Waverly. She is the one who sort of gave me the courage to do it in a professional setting. So I was offering readings there. I was renting that space, and I just felt like I needed to be in this one. I don't know why I feel so connected to it, but I just felt like I kept getting pushed to make more of my focus in that direction. So I'm a retail shop that offers angel readings, and it seems kind of like an odd pair. I think if I just carried metaphysical items, it'd probably make sense, but I did it that way because I wanted everything to be more accessible. I wanted it to be easier to understand. I wanted to be able to reach people who are maybe right on the edge of something, but it's just so unfamiliar that they maybe don't approach it because of that. So I just wanted to create something that helped people kind of step beyond their fears regarding anything that came to personal connection with energy.
Well, I think this place of yours, it's almost like, and I said this, it represents you, but it's almost like, it's a two-way shop here. Of course, you have clothing on one side, it's kind of a boutique, but then the other side, you have some of these remedies that can soothe you. Talk about some of this stuff too. So I'll make the connection after that. Talk about some of the stuff that you have on this side.
Sure. So I have a lot of different kinds of crystals. I hope to expand that even further, even some bigger size ones. But
so what do crystals do? What do they? I mean, they have a like some of them will do certain things, right? Some will calm you. Some will I don't know. You
sure.
Tell me.
So the idea behind it is, our energy, and they've proven this, that it actually extends out of our bodies. Mm-hmm. So my views, and that a lot of other people have done some research on too, as far as crystals specifically. My views on it are everything, like its energy expands out of its what we see as physical. Mm-hmm. So when we come into contact with that energy, we have an emotional response to it, an energetic response to it. So each crystal essentially carries something. When you touch it, when you're around it, when you put it in your space, it's kind of emitting that frequency. So amethyst, for example, that's one that a lot of people are drawn to and are familiar with. That is to increase your intuition. So to draw you closer to, your own confidence and your gut feelings, basically.
Okay. So, this is all kind of making sense. It's hard to put into words, but this is basically, and this is the best way I could say it, this is a shop that represents you, but yet it's a shop because it represents you. You want to help others.
Right.
Right.
And part of that too, when I started to, I guess, go on this journey to reconnect with myself, to better understand myself, I was looking into things, trying to figure out what would work for me. I love to research stuff. I love to know about it, like how it's made, where it comes from. But at that time, you have Amazon, but you don't really know and connect and see it firsthand. But there's so many options now. There's so much out there. And because, personal development and more spiritual aspects are, that's growing so much, it's easy to get taken advantage of in that. So a lot of trial and error for me. So I really wanted to bring all that knowledge into a space that would make it easier for people to access. So some people, they want to come in and get a gift and go, but if they have questions like the smudge products behind you, those hit a lot of points where it's handmade. So the intent of the person making it, I think, is a big difference.
Can I grab one of these?
Yes, go ahead. It should unclip. They're kind of stuck on there pretty good. So the company that makes these, they make them by hand. They also grow a lot of this themselves, where it's in Arizona. So they're very eco-friendly. It's a family business. It's just a lot of value behind it.
So what does it do if someone would come in here? I mean, like I can see someone like my dad, for example. My mom would be all up in it, but my dad would be like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this?
Sure.
He would.
So it's kind of the same idea with smudging, that you are you're changing the way the energy feels in your space. So there's a lot of spiritual connection to smudging as well. But just on a base level, it does actually kill the bacteria in the air. White sage has the ability to do that. But you light the end of it and you blow it out, you let it smolder, but you go through all the areas that you want to cleanse. So the smoke rolls through the space and helps to elevate the vibrational frequency that's going on in there. So it's pushing out the negative and clearing everything out.
And the negative can be anything from bacteria to negative energies that we know as demonic stuff, right? I mean, it could be
right.
Whatever that maybe you would feel.
A lot of people will use it when they feel like there's a heaviness in their home, or there is a lot of sort of paranormal activity that they don't want, or they feel maybe threatened by. Me personally, I try to keep it pretty simple. If you use it, make sure your intentions are very clear, because if you're going into it very fearful, you're sort of putting that energy back into the space.
Okay.
And that can be frightening, because if you're already fearful of something bad being in your home, and you go in carrying that fear, walking around with this whole procedure, and then all of a sudden you've got even more activity going on. That's usually why. So,
and it's usually probably someone that a trained professional should do. That's what you see on a lot of the shows. Like if you're doing it to that point, like you're worried about really negative energies. Anyone can do it at home.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say if you have a very strong concern, get somebody who can come in and hold that intent for you. So that's always helpful as well.
Okay, so what else? You got some, like, besides the...
She has amazing tea.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
She has amazing tea.
Tea.
Sleep tea.
What else you got up here? You got some, like...
I have a completely plant-based facial line. I also have this line that I carry called Verve Culture, and they work as sort of the middleman between items that are really traditionally created. So this here is a Thai herbal massage ball. So in Thailand, and there are massage therapists that actually do that massage as well, but this would be as a service. So this is traditionally made by somebody who's an expert in doing it the way that it's always been done. It's a lot of family-run small businesses that have passed that information down from generation to generation. So it's an added source of income for them that they might not otherwise have. A lot of the items that I have there from Mexico, this is like a small family village that's making this and selling it in their little shop, no internet. Then she comes in and she just provides, some extra work for them that they might not have had otherwise.
Interesting. And you said this, but I want to say this one more time. The fact that you do so much research on this, and it's not like you're going on Amazon yourself and trying to find the cheapest, product and then marking it up. This is more than just a business for you. I mean, you're actually putting in everything that you want to make sure that others are going to be happy with your products.
Right. And that goes back to the energetic aspect of it. I feel like your environment and what you surround yourself with, all of that energy can affect you in some way. So everything here that I have, I've researched, and my intent is for that to go home with the person to enhance the energy in their home. So it's sort of the outside layer.
Yeah.
And then you go a little bit deeper where the readings are, where you're working on your own personal energy. So layers kind of coming inward.
Interesting. Again, we're with Natashia from Aletheia. We're here in downtown Osage. And, for the first, I told you this, for the first third of this hour, we're going to talk a little bit about you personally and the shop. The next 2/3 of the hour, we're going to talk about your abilities and then a little bit about paranormal. I think between yourself, myself, and Christina, we've all had some paranormal experience. So we'll talk about that. And we'll see if we can get anybody else to speak on it as well. But for you, I want to dive in for angel reading or your energies that you pick up. How is this precisely done for people that are coming on? I mean, this is just a intuitive thing, right? Like you feel it, you know it's there, you have no idea what it would be like otherwise, not to have it, right?
Right. I guess I can kind of walk you through what would happen if you came in and got a reading.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
So I'm hoping to have a dedicated space when the back half of the building is finished, but we usually meet actually right about where we're at here. So I sit down with someone and I have sort of beginning where I'll close my eyes and I go into auras and chakras. I talk about health a little bit too, not for any sort of health advice, but it's kind of weird how different parts of the body will correlate with different things that are going on in life. Like just a quick example, if they put some energy in my shoulders and I'll actually feel it. That's usually an indication of a lot of responsibilities going on in that person's life, like work, family, all those things. We go into it in more detail, but when I do that scan, I'm looking at auras. And do you want me to explain that quick too?
Yeah, I understand kind of what it is, but I think people that are watching or
Sure.
will be watching may not know.
For me personally, I think I've always had a strange connection to color to begin with. I will emotionally respond to different colors. And I think a lot of people can relate on that.
Yeah, I think so.
But with auras, it's sort of like it comes into my mind and fills the space. So depending on what color I see or how it moves, I can learn a lot of different things about a person's personality. Blue, for example, is more of like an intellectual color. It has a lot to do with a lot of on the mind, how you view the world, as far as like problem solving and different things like that, breaking it down into pieces. So I'm going through auras and chakras and health, and I'm kind of running through the body and picking up cues from that. It's really just feelings that I have. It's that, we all have gut feelings. This is just very rapid, and I'm writing this, trying to while my eyes are closed. Mm-hmm. And I run through everything. And before I open my eyes, I open it up to whatever wants to come through. So that can be situational, or it can be, somebody who's passed away. Mm-hmm. And it's about half and half. I think a lot of people come in with things that they hope to hear, but are surprised by what actually comes through. And usually it's what they needed, but didn't realize they needed at that time. But I do the scans, I run through all of that, I'm writing all this stuff down, I open my eyes, relay it back, and then it really becomes just a nice conversation that we have.
Okay. I'm going to put you to the test. We're going to do a quick one. You're going to do one on me just to kind of give, I don't want you to sit here for 20 minutes and do this, but give someone what it would be like, if you can get into that state and just kind of give them, people that are going to be watching what it would be like a serious,
Sure.
Yeah.
you just want me to kind of run through like what your energy is
Yeah,
right now?
yeah. I think people are interested to hear
Sure.
what would be there.
So your energy is it takes up a lot of space. So that's a cue to me that you carry a personality that has high energy, that is kind of, you're stepping out of your own boundaries. You're not the type that would shy away from anything. Fast moving energy is also connected to how your mind works. So you would actually be, and this is probably why that color came through first, actually. I would consider you more as a blue aura. And your strength really lies in when you're thinking, being able to see all aspects of it, good and bad. And also to step it out a little bit further to see the future tense of it. So, if I were to talk about that in regard to it being a strength, keep pursuing that, because it's a type of energy you carry and helps to move you forward in life. But if you let that get away from you, you can get too far out into the future and sort of forget to enjoy what you're doing in the present. So
that's an aspect kind of that you can dive in and explain to someone what you're doing. Hey, it might be working, and it kind of gives them an idea too on the road that, hey, maybe you need to step it back a little bit or think about these other elements in your life. Now, the other aspect I think as well that people would be interested in is the energies that were around either on Earth at some time or maybe never were on Earth. So what do you pick up in this room? If it's from me, if it's from Christina, if it's from you, I mean, that's going to be, I think, something that people are going to be interested in as well.
Sure. Well, I actually, just a couple quick things. I'm trying to get beyond my own energy and talking for myself here and kind of go more into that side. For you today, I actually pick up more of like grandmother, but I feel like it's grandmother connected to your grandfather that passed. But she puts her hand out and grabs his, and she makes me feel emotionally like wanting to let you know that they're together and happy and both watching over you. So I like to be more specific and give really detailed as far as imagery that I'm picking up, but I have her and him hand in hand outside with a field behind them and the sun shining. So I'll get images like that so one, that it is very ordinary on that side. That's what continues to surprise me, is it's very ordinary, and they do very ordinary things, but when they come through, they'll show those things to me so that they are okay and happy, but also that they see you and still want to interact with you, and also that you will see them again. I think that's often a reoccurring message that comes through. But just a quick thing for you on that. I have a little bit of something with your uncle. I'm not like completely confident in it because I just haven't put enough energy into that, but I'll just tell you there's an image that he gives me of something about, I don't know if it was a trip that you took together, like in an outdoor setting, but I have him and you in adult form in an outdoor space. And it almost looks like there's a small building that he's trying to turn my attention towards. So to me, I would interpret that as like a cabin or small rental space nearby. But I feel emotionally like he's giving me a memory of something that he enjoyed. But beyond that, I'm not getting a specific thing like he wants to tell you exactly something today.
Yeah.
But
Interesting. So those are the kind of like tidbits that you get during an angel, or what do you call them specifically?
I do call them angel readings.
Okay.
I'm trying to go into Aletheia sessions just because I'm adding a few different types in there to do some different things. I just started doing sort of like an artistic representation of auras. So you get an aura, specifically an aura reading that I paint out on either paper or canvas, and it comes with a detailed description that you can keep. So
that's cool.
Yeah, and I also do, it's on my website, energetic alignment, which is similar to like Reiki or healing touch, but that's more so in just how you feel rather than a full reading. So I love the term angel. I connect with that deeply. I was surrounded by that when I was a kid, even though I have no religious background. My mother's name is Angel. But I think I'm trying to incorporate more terminology that you're not necessarily like with angel readings. I don't have a religious affiliation or connection, and it's not specifically that I only do readings to connect with people that have passed. We also go pretty in depth into just energy itself. So
I think it can be good for both. I mean, there are some, and I know in the Catholic world, people that are watching that are, friends or family of mine, they're going to be like, oh, don't do any of that stuff. That's against the Catholic religion. So if you didn't want to do something like that and you're not necessarily for that, you can do things that are great for you spiritually.
Yes.
Or even for confidence, or making sure you're heading in the right direction in life, or just giving you another look at maybe what you are subconsciously. I think is perfect for someone that would be a little leery on some of the other things, because again, everyone has an opinion on certain things with the paranormal and angel readings and all that, even though I am I'm a believer 100%. So when you were going, just for example, when prior to us talking about the angel reading and all that, you kind of going around, my heart was racing for some reason. I have no idea why, like just was racing. So I don't know if that was an indicator that there was more of a presence around, or if it's just me, like, because I didn't even think about it. I'm like, why would my heart be racing? It's for no reason.
It's just the energy.
Yeah, it very well could be. What is the craziest story that you've had that you could share from an angel reading experience?
Yeah, and just as a disclaimer, in case anyone's wondering, they are 100% confidential. So any example I do give, I'm changing names and not giving away any of their identity. But I think the craziest experience I've had was kind of early on in when I started doing readings, and I had a person book a reading from, it was the other side of the country. And so I really didn't, I mean, I had a website and I was on Facebook, but I wasn't advertising, far away, miles away. It'd be difficult to run across my information, but they scheduled and they called and I picked up the phone. It was over the phone.
And by the way, you can do that. Now,
Yes.
This doesn't always have to be in person. Now, is it more beneficial to be in person, or is it about the same for you?
It's about the same. And I think just for me, the ability to sit in my pajamas in a comfy chair does something for me to be a bit more relaxed. I think it's more so the person receiving, if they feel like they need to see me and to have that interaction. And on the flip side of it, that can be what maybe scares people a little bit. So if they are in their own space and I'm not staring at them, they feel, yeah, they feel a little bit more comfortable. But I haven't noticed one side or the other being more effective for me personally. But this particular, I picked up the phone and it was almost like something else took over. And I talked, it was an hour reading. I talked for probably 45 minutes straight, nonstop. It just kept going. At the end, I leave a little bit of time. So if you have questions or you want to go into something specific before we're done, I leave that open as an option. But this person informed me that it was everything that they needed to hear, and the information was somehow on their computer. It was just on the computer, and that's.
Like,
I'm getting a little goosebumpy up my legs right now. Are we?
Oh, I just felt something.
Yeah.
Cold.
My screen is going black and then it'll go back. And I mean, it just is for a second. It'll just flash, and it's not a power issue. It's not a connection issue.
What's going on over here? Does that blow normally?
That's the
Okay.
vent. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Now we got us all.
Yeah, we're all.
I felt a little breeze on my legs though when everybody said that.
I've been feeling this for a while.
Did you?
I have though.
Yeah. Mine was just my heart.
Yes.
She knows that I've been feeling this for a while.
I know your energy type. So.
So that is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it was, and I think it was so beneficial for that person because they heard what they needed to hear. But I'm at a point in my angel reading career that I had confidence, but that took it to another level. Like that was an experience that I cannot explain. It's just, it happened and the way it happened. So that was sort of some validation for me that I needed to keep going with it.
Do you get anything from other worlds or other realms that are telling you like, this is what you need to do? Do you get any of those indications?
I've had a lot of, I guess, just coincidences. It started out as of being in the right place at the right time or connecting with the right person. Like you don't always see that when you're in it, but when you look back, like it's sort of the line of things that have happened.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of that for me, but I've just had questions answered for myself, like in the dream state. I wake up. There's so many times that I wake up in the morning, like I'm in mid conversation with someone or something. And it's and
you don't remember it.
Well, lately I have been. I've been trying to write. I've been trying to write down what's coming through. And for a very long period of my life, I felt like nothing made sense and like an outsider. And when this really came into my life, it became, the missing puzzle piece. I do feel, I just feel better overall when I'm involved with it. And I know it can get into some pretty strange topics, I guess, but I feel comfortable in that. And that makes me feel like I need to share it with others and, make those connections where somebody else might be feeling the same way. Yeah.
What is your belief with the connection in dreams and the afterlife and everything that we're doing on Earth now? Is there a connection you feel?
So I believe personally that this space, our human existence is the concentrated, solid form of energy. So what's beyond that in dream state and, wherever we go when we're done here it's more fluid. It's there's no, like, time is not so linear. Like, I believe that this is really our learning ground. This is our school. This is where we choose to come to develop an understanding, essentially, of, I think, our choices and our own struggle to find the right word that I pause and
Wait. Okay, now you're back. You're back.
okay.
Back. That was interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Been a while since we've had something like that. Yeah, since the Cresco Theater. I do want to ask you about something you said earlier about me when we first met. I asked you kind of about reincarnation, right?
Right.
And then also you said something to me that was really interesting. That you thought my past life, I was doing what?
You were in film and entertainment, like Hollywood, 20s, 30s. And what I picked up from that was that at that time, you had ideas and ways of doing things that were ahead of the time then. So what I picked up in that was you had that experience and maybe didn't necessarily succeed in getting those ideas out there, but now in your present lifetime, you're drawing upon that information from then.
And do you think that's something that everyone does? So something like for you, do you know what you did in your past life? What about Christina?
I have picked up a few things myself. I have some strange connections, I think, with Atlantis. And I know some people don't think that even really happened, but just as an example here, I was watching a documentary because it's something I'm naturally curious about anyways. I think that's an indication too, like what you're drawn to, time periods, areas of the world. That can be an indication of a lifetime you might have had in before. But watching a documentary, potentially an area that they think could be connected or part of Atlantis, and it was really just like a clay square on the ground.
Mhm.
And I said out loud, like reflex, that's a bathroom. And it was a couple seconds later, and the guy says, modern plumbing. And like, wow. So that caught my attention. But I've had some strange dreams. I think I've had some lifetimes where I elected to go through some pretty heavy hardships as far as like I for myself feel like I might have been a mother of lots of kids. I get images of being in this little tiny house with no electricity, and so I see like things I worry about with my kids. I always kind of wonder if it stems from that. But I think everybody, that's another. I didn't mention that I do the past lives readings too. You can come in and I have a whole process for that as well.
Check it out. I think it's fascinating.
And
Really,
Yeah.
well, and the way I do the readings, I will close my eyes and write for a while. It's a little bit longer because I'm pulling more information, but I just write everything out. I kind of hold the intent, give me images, symbols, any connections, and it doesn't really come through in any specific order. But I'll write all this out, and then after I'm finished, I have a series of questions I ask, and kind of just really random questions like colors you're drawn to, foods you're drawn to, any specific phobias that you've had. And I ask this before I give any of the information. So you're telling me the answers to it, and then we go back and look at how there's up a couple times.
Okay, you're back.
All right, we only have 15 minutes, so I want to get on to.
Okay.
We could talk for hours about this, and this may have to be a part 2 at some point. Paranormal. So, first off, I'll just be completely generic about it. What's your opinion on paranormal? Obviously, I think you're a believer in all that.
Right. I think I've connected so much with other spirits that I have a pretty solid understanding in why they're around. But I know
Why are they around usually?
I think when you get to there, we'll just call it there, you have the ability to sort of still have the connection to the physical world, to watch over your loved ones, to see what they're doing. And I think there is some level of understanding that they are gaining from their position, from being on the other side, and still sort of being able to see what's going on here and to interact. What I do believe that maybe isn't something that everybody would agree with. I don't really believe in the demonic side of things. I'm not saying they don't occur, but my view on it is really there's a lot of fear and a lot of charged energy, a lot of negative energy that sort of manifests into these experiences. So if you, just for a small example, and I mean extremes, you can break this apart, but if you carry a really strong fear of something, you're kind of lining yourself up for those experiences. Where on the other side of it, if you have a very strong connection to like angels, you'll probably have more experiences tied to that. So your perception, your beliefs will kind of colorize what you experience as far as paranormal.
So have you had any experiences with the paranormal? Something where you've seen like full
Yes.
Okay.
So when I was very young, this is probably one of my first memories. My cousin was coming to my birthday party, and his mother had unfortunately passed in a car accident. And I was young enough at the time that I knew she was gone, but I didn't understand that aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I can still see it clearly to this day, him coming to my party because I'm in the window, like waiting for my cousin to get there, and her, like I knew that was his mom, and she was walking him to the door, just like her hand kind of on his shoulder, just walking. And I remember feeling so like warm and peaceful, and I didn't question it because I'm a kid, and I knew it was his mother, but I never made the connection that she was gone. So that was one of my first experiences. And then I actually used to live in an old funeral home. I was about 9 years old when this happened. But I woke up in the middle of the night. I fell asleep watching TV on the couch. And there was a full woman sitting in my mom's chair. And I was wide awake and looking at her and kind of going through my head, like, who could this be? So my cousin, it kind of looks like my cousin, but I knew she wasn't there. And she just turned and she put her hand up, and I knew she was saying hi, but I couldn't hear anything. And I wasn't scared. I just like trying to figure out, why is this lady staring at me? And so I had to say hi back. And I watched like, kind of the lights in Star Trek just dissolve into the chain. Yeah.
No way that's happening. Have you had anything negative happen to you? I know you said you don't believe in that type of stuff, but
I think I've had some experiences that made me very fearful, but nothing that harmed me. I've been in some areas where, like, you hear that loud bang that scares the crap out of you and you go running. I've had experiences like that, but I haven't really anything that's really affected me that bad. I've come in contact with some energy that I know is negatively charged, and I usually just step away from it.
Where does that come from? Do you know? Is it just like just a ball of energy that just manifests itself, or is it something like coming from a being, something that's from out of this world?
I think it's the emotional charge. I think it's that, there's so much, when you have something really traumatic, there's a lot of pain, usually from a lot of different people involved. And it's sort of all coming together in this one experience, in this one moment, and just sort of sticking there. And, when you have, especially haunted places that are well known, you have a lot of people coming in that are kind of charging that, like feeding it back up, because, they're there to experience it. I don't know if that's the best explanation I can give. It still leaves room for a lot of questions, but I feel like that energy it just sucks more in, so it can build itself and keep that feeling in that space.
Do you think you're going to give your abilities to your kids? Do you think your daughters have them?
I think everybody does. Yes. And it's your choice on how you want to utilize it. I like to get people in touch with it to just, help them in life, to make life a little easier. So I don't really, I talk to my kids about different things, but I try to keep it neutral. When my oldest daughter was a baby and just starting to talk, I have a video of it actually, but she was sitting in her high chair and she was laughing and like trying to catch things out of the air. And I came up and I said to her, "What are you doing?" And she had the most like disappointed look on her face, like, "Where'd Angel go?" And so things like that. I think kids are they come in very receptive, and so I hope to, if they carry that, I'm planning to nurture it and help them understand it. But I've definitely seen things with them that were maybe headed in that direction a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. All right. I'm going to ask you some like rapid fire questions. And I are going to go back and forth. Okay. A sentence, you can elaborate whatever you want to talk about.
Okay. Here. And I have had some experiences. I had he's my jokester, cooked the door pretty aggressively. But I feel like there's some energies here that existed from other businesses that all have been very positive, though.
Okay.
What is the one thing you're afraid of when people come in? I really want them to leave feeling better. So I do carry a fear, like, I'm not going to give them what they need today, or maybe they're not in a place to receive it today. And I don't want their experience to be ruined in any way because there's an attachment to an outcome. So I think that's probably what weighs on my mind the most. But I'm pretty honest. If I can't get something, I'll say I can't, or I can't answer your question, but don't think that, this is the end. It just might not be the right time for it.
Okay. From a paranormal point of view, I think anyone that's interested in it, is there one spot that you would love to go and feel those energies? One place, it could be in Iowa, United States, anywhere.
I really want to go to Sedona. I hear great things about Sedona and the energy vortexes. So that's on my list, hopefully this year, so I can go and see what exactly happens.
Okay.
What is your favorite reading to do? What kind of reading is your favorite to do? Like of all the options that we have, what is your favorite?
Probably the art one. And I am kind of surprised that I waited so long to bring it out fully, because I connect so strongly to art. So I get a little bit of that for me. And then, it's crazy how so much meaning can come out of it energetically just by seeing it. And then, you get this full explanation of what each movement means, what each color means. So that's probably my favorite one.
Are there certain, so when I saw Mackenzie asked this, if people come into the shop, based on what you feel from them, can you recommend certain things in your shop for them to buy, like crystals or liquid of some sort or whatever else you got in the shop?
Yes. And I have had that happen where somebody's come in and I could tell they're maybe a little bit overwhelmed and not quite sure which direction they want to go into. So I just go with my feeling on it. And usually what I show them, if it's just a weird coincidence, like they're dealing with some, they can't sleep at night. We just happen to end up by the tinctures for, sleeping better. So, yes, I think if anybody's open to that most definitely could happen.
Okay. Christina?
How do you feel about the difference between what you do and psychics?
That's a good question.
How do you view that as because it's not the same?
Well, and I think there are a lot of people who do things similar to what I do. I think anyone who connects in that way connects, on their own way, basically. But similarity is in intent there. But I think there are some that still refer to themselves as psychics. But I think I kind of step away just because I don't want to give anybody the impression that I have answers or, to future tense things. Like I can take a line out from this very present moment and kind of look at it and see. But, I'm trying to help you answer your own questions. And I think maybe, anyone that connects with psychic, I don't think they're trying to be like reading the future or anything like that. But it's just a term that's kind of, I think, dropping away a little bit because of the connotations that come with that.
If someone wants to get a reading, there's some people that are making a couple of mentions of this. What's the easiest way to get in touch with you or to set up? Is it to call, email?
Sure. I do have an online scheduler on my website. Most of the appointments are after, I think, 4:30, just so I know that I have a childcare available.
Mm-hmm.
I do have earlier times available, so I'd say check the website, and if you don't see what you need, or if you just want to talk with me, give me a call. So I try to be pretty available. When I can be, I am in the shop Thursday through Saturday. But even direct message, Facebook, Instagram, I try to make sure I get those and check them frequently. So
last thing we'll talk about. All right, we're all in here. It's us three. Is there anyone else that you feel that has been around us for the last hour?
Maybe this sounds a little far out there, but I feel like energetically from everyone, it's been more on the guide side of things individually, because we are talking about something that connects with that. I do feel like that presence has come into the room to sort of help, guide things the way they needed to go, whether it be what question you needed to ask or hopefully some technical support. I hope they weren't causing the problems there, but.
So when you say guide, explain to people like what you mean by guide.
I think everybody has at least one that sticks with them always. It's just that energetic connection, from here to there. I don't think we ever lose that in any way. There is a soul that's present that kind of elected to be in that space. But I do think that we have tons of guides that come and go as needed. So, and maybe, more than one that stays with us all the time, but I've had people come in just absolutely surrounded with energies that they have never known. And I do pick that up with you, that you have a lot of energy there with you. I think because you've got a lot of like past life experience too. Sorry, we're veering off, but
no, that's interesting.
I think how active and how much interaction you have with others will sort of that will make a difference in how many you have with you. There's just a lot of help available, and I've seen it in so many different ways that I can't deny it anymore. It's we have someone with us, and we have others who come and go to help us when we need them to be there.
Any final thoughts? We're over an hour. See how quickly this goes?
Yeah, that does go quick.
It goes so fast.
Angel readings are really, it's an experience you have to try to fully understand it. So I welcome anyone who, if you have questions or do want to schedule, to reach out.
I did put your website.
Okay.
Your website is in the messages.
Thank you.
A link to your website, so you can see that in the comments.
So AletheaIsLove.com.
Yep.
And it's probably the easiest way to get a hold of you. Otherwise, through the Aletheia Facebook page.
Or just call.
Or just
I mean,
call.
if you're...
You got a landline or what?
Well, I had a cell phone.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're, like me and it's 1:00 in the morning and you think of it and you want to see what, there's some information on there about the readings too, but you want to see what my schedule is without having to wait until, 8:00 to call me in the morning, then that's an option.
It's a great thing to have technology. Check out the reading and see if we can get something. All right. Anybody around here? Let's see if we can get a little bit of a reading here.
Maybe you should hold it.
Want me to hold it? Let's see here. See if we have, come on. I can feel someone touching my knee right now. 73.5. It's 74. Must be my hands. They must be warm.
That 00 is what's going to shift.
Okay.
And I mean, it can be minor. Like it hit 5 for.
It hit 5.0? Or
briefly, just for a second, I saw it
Did
flash.
Okay.
But
let's see if Christina.
Pass it.
0.1.
yeah, so
0.2. Oh, that's all you can do? Come on. See, now you want me to pass it to Christina? Go up. Go up.
I am hoping to utilize that more in readings for people who are open to
I was
it.
at 2.6.
Were you really?
It flashed 2.6.
Oh.
You're charged up today. But I'm hoping, as I experiment with that, when there are moments when I feel like goosebumps and I feel very electrified. So I'm hoping
It bounced.
to kind of keep that in the background with readings. So you kind of get to see when the energy, it's just a way of seeing the energy shift. So
It's nice to have the evidence too. I
Right.
think you have the physical feel within your body, and then you have the actual analytic.
right.
evidence
And people do feel that the goosebumps and the energy shift with me. So I guess my hope is that when that occurs, that will go off and show a high spike because
Well, it's not doing anything. I think all of our friends have left. Are you still around? Are they over here or over here?
I'm feeling more calm at the moment. So
Yeah. I think they're like, oh, this show's done.
see you later.
See the conclusion.
You're lucky you got an hour.
All right. Final thoughts. Anything?
Yeah, just reach out.
Point
I
4.
guess.
0.0. Do I have to sing sweet nothings to you?
Please don't.
Natasha, thanks for spending the last hour with us. This was
Thanks
fun.
for having me.
Yeah.
It was.
All right. Goodbye.